Hi, my name is Michaela Shope, and this is my video interview for the training coordinator position at your company. I'm just going to jump right into the questions that you sent me prior to me recording this video. And the first one says, what was a complex problem in your life and how did you work through it? And the first thing I thought of was a situation I ran into when I was working as a human resource generalist at a company called Universal Services, Inc. And the situation was, at the end of my employment there, I was let go due to performance issues that my supervisor really didn't communicate with me thoroughly about before I was let go. And this was really challenging for me, mostly just because I never dealt with that before with an employer. Anyone else that I worked with never had really major issues or concerns, and when I left employment, it was on my terms, not theirs. And so with this, how I dealt with it is just how I feel like you should deal with any situation like that, is to, accept that it did occur and then plan for the future to make sure it doesn't happen again. With this, obviously I was going through a lot of interviews and a lot of conversations, making connections, and really what I just said up front is this happened. I know I need to work on this and that. But from you guys, if you do move forward with me, I would just need open communication, honesty, and, goals for me as an employee. And in the long run, this did end up working well for me. I ended up getting a position where I got exactly that. Although during that time it was really challenging for me to accept that I was let go from the position, I did learn a lot, and if anything, I think it made me a better professional, so I'm really glad that everything worked out the way it did. And then the next question you guys had was, who are the top 2 mentors in your life and what did you learn from them? And this first answer is a little cliche, but I believe my number 1 influence in my life is my mom. I have a very strong relationship with her, and I've learned so much just watching her as a professional as well to what I try to implement into my professional life. And the first thing I've learned is just to continue to grow. And this could apply, to both personal and professional. But I believe it's so important that, it's okay to be comfortable in a role or with your life. But if it's getting to the point where you're not growing as a person or being challenged, you need to make changes. Whether that's, reflecting on your own self or reflecting on your position or just having a good conversation with a manager. I just think it's so important to remember how important it is to grow as an individual. And then I also learned from her just to learn from my mistakes. No one's perfect. I understand that. She understands that with me growing up. And no matter what I did, what mistake I made, I should say, whether it was big or small, every time it occurred, she would say, what did you learn from this and what will you do moving forward to make sure that this mistake doesn't happen again? And I honestly think if I didn't learn this from her, that previous situation I brought up about my company, or my previous company, Universal Services, it might have ended up a lot differently and probably would have had even more challenges with finding a new role and trying to make that negative into a positive. And then the next person I thought of was a professor I had while I was attending the University of Wisconsin-Eau Claire for my undergraduate in organizational communication. Her name is Martha Fay. I had a couple classes with her actually, so I got really close to her. Probably one of the closest people, or professors I should say, I got connected with during my time at University of Wisconsin-Eau Claire. And I learned, many things from her as well, but I would say the 2 biggest things I learned from her was just the importance of collaboration with a team. Every class I took with her, it was always team projects, having discussions with a group of people, and, just bouncing ideas one another to make the perfect solution for whatever, whether it was just a chapter in the book or a big project we were working on. And I've used that so much in my professional career, so I'm glad I got that experience while I was an undergraduate at UW-Eau Claire. And then the second thing I learned from her was just the importance of building relationships with people, whether it's in the classroom or just out grocery shopping or in a job. With all of her classes that I took with her, the 2 or 3 I would say I took, we never sat, columns or rows in the desk. We always made a circle because she found it really important to make sure that you knew who was in the class, not just the person you sat next to every day or your friend you so happened to have that class with. She wanted you to meet everyone because she really wanted us to understand the importance of just, you never know what you'll miss out on if you aren't looking. So I'm really glad that I had those experiences with her while I was attending my undergraduate. And then you gave us a couple questions and you told us to at least pick 2. And so the first one I'm going to go over is, what elements are important to you to keep a work environment professional, even if elements like dress and communication are more casual? And this question actually jumped right out at me because that's how my current company is. It's a very casual, professional attire, very casual conversation, communication, and things like that. And I would say 2 things I learned from this position is that it's just important to keep that balance. It's great if you get along with your coworkers, it's great if you like your manager, but you need to make sure that there are some boundaries there. I think any position, whether it's casual or not, you're going to get to know one another, but it is very important to make sure that those professional boundaries are kept, just so when those not so fun conversations come around, you're not just a friend, you're a professional in front of them. And the second thing I have learned from this is just, what I believe is important when a company has more of a casual setting or casual conversation, is just having a good balance. I think in any company, again, whether it's casual or not, you are going to have conversations that maybe aren't the most related to work. You ask people about their weekends, holidays, things like that. But I think just having that balance and knowing, I'm here for a job, my reasoning here is to get this or that done, can really make a difference in making sure that those conversations do stay at a minimum and you guys all stay focused on the, whether it's the mission of the company or a big project during the day. And then the last question I'm going to go over is, what type of managers have you worked with in the past? And with this one, I have had, I would say, a good variety of different managers. I've had some where they let me be completely independent with my projects and just check up on me every once in a while. But on the other hand, I've had managers as well where they've been very hands-on. You have to build that trust with them before they let you spread your wings, not to be cheesy, but that's a good way to put it. And just from my, my personal preference would be to work with someone who does give me a little bit more independence. I believe it's a good chance for you to learn, and like I mentioned before, what I learned from my mom, just to grow. I think a lot of that does happen just from getting that independence and being able to, make some mistakes to a certain extent, but again, being able to learn from them. Like I said, I have worked with both those, so if your company does prefer more hands-on type of style, I'm absolutely okay with that as well. Just, I hope that there is a little bit of independence just so you guys get a break from watching me, to be honest. But I'm pretty flexible as far as what I prefer with that. Like I said, I've had a little bit of experience of both, so whatever your company is comfortable with, I'm willing to do that as well. And those are all the questions I'm going to answer, so thank you so much for this opportunity, and I look forward to hearing from you soon.